and its history, right? What the name of the chapter is? Rulers and Building. As you know that it is my habit to start with the class the previous notes, right? So what we learned till now, we'll just go for the recap of it. What exactly it is? Gardens, storms and forts. As you people know, that topic is only talking about, this topic basically talks about what? It is basically talking about the rulers and the buildings. Mean, who were the rulers that time and the kind of building they started forming. The construction of the building they started forming that time. So what we find here? We find that initially they started making the buildings for their comfortable. That was the fort, means to protect themselves, the palaces to protect themselves, to live a luxurious life. Along with that, they started making the gardens. After that, they started making, just they wanted to showcase their power, their prosperity. So they started making their temples and mosque. And after that, as they were the rulers at time, so they were actually meant to help the public, right? So what they started making, they started making wells, tanks and karwa sarai and all that. So that day, the day we started with, we initially talked about that why are the buildings, or why were the buildings by the rulers formed that time, what kind of buildings were formed. After that, we came to the point garden, tombs and forts. So means, for what reason the rulers were making garden, tombs and forts? So we found that gardens were a kind of comfort, or to come close with the nature. As we got to know that it was Babur who made that Char Bagh, which was also having like four pillars by the side and having the boundary by the side, and it was known as four garden. Means it is known as Char Bagh or four garden. Why? Because it was having a geometrical shape. After that, we got to know, here we went through the that number of kind of like architectural work. Here we went through Humayun's tomb. Then even we discussed everything. Petra Dora, means all that. Even we talked about Taj Mahal, which was made by Shah Jahan that time. Means these are all the things. Even we got to know about the riverfront. Means riverfront nowadays, for you people, you can find that riverfront is a place where anybody can reach. But that time, as riverfront was having a very beautiful scene, so who was living near to that? Only the rulers and their relatives and some special ministers were only allowed to live near to the river, right? So was it open for the common people? Undoubtedly no. It was not common for the common people, right? Here we find, if you go for the figure number 14, because we have already discussed about it. So if you go for figure number 14, you find here that all the buildings, means all the gardens, if you talk about, or if you think that the kind of palaces and the things which were made, the buildings were made that time, they were basically made or constructed near to the river Yamuna only. If we have an example of Taj Mahal, so why Taj Mahal is there in Agra? Because it was the time, at the time of Shah Jahan, that Agra was the capital. Coming to the next, it's exactly the same, Fatehpur Sikri and all, Yamuna River and that all. Now we are coming to the part region and empire. So today we are going to start, like we went through the brief introduction, and now we are going to start today's session, that is about region and empire. So what exactly the meaning of region and empire? Why we are going to talk about it? You know, nowadays when we talk about that, oh so yummy na, when you are here in Gujarat and you want to taste the food of Maharashtra or of South, so it's very easy for you to have a cook on it. Like you just can easily have the idli, dosa and all those kind of things. How did it become possible? Because the people from southern part of India, they came here. The people from here went to southern part of India, or somebody met both of them, and there came a transition of culture, transition of food. The same applies here. When the empire, there was an empire, after that empire became another empire, means one empire got vanished, another empire started. What we find here, they started with something new. Even they found, for an example, if I am here and I have observed that the building which is made and the kind of design which is made in Maharashtra's building, it's really something very different. So I'm the ruler and it is a different region. I belong to a different region, but I'll accept it. Let me give the example over here. So if you go for the example, you just see, I just show you the example here. So here you find the best example you have is in Vijayanagar. You just see in Vijayanagar, the elephant stables of the rulers were strongly influenced by the style of architecture found in the adjoining sultanates of Bijapur and Golconda. Means something which started, elephant stable, which started in the areas of Bijapur and Golconda, it was found in Vijayanagar as well. How was it possible? Because the different empires started following the other regions' cultural ideas, along with that constructional ideas. Right. So here we have an example in Vrindavan near Mathura. Temples were constructed in architectural styles and were very similar to the Mughal palaces in Fatehpur Sikri. You just see, when we talk about Mathura, where is Mathura? It's in UP, right? Mathura is in UP. And what we find here, the temples which were made in Mathura, in Vrindavan, we find it was having this almost the similar kind of construction as it was there in Fatehpur Sikri. So what does it mean? At least somewhere it was, and the another architect made it there because it was found that it is beautiful. So here is the matter of region and empire. Different empire from different regions, but they started accepting the constructional ideas, the new and beautiful ideas of different regions and of different empires. Here we have one more example, that the creation of large empires that brought different regions under their rule helped in this cross-fertilization of artistic forms and architectural style. Now you may have a feeling, what does it mean by cross-fertilization? Right, cross-fertilization is what? Something very new in Mathura, something very new in Fatehpur Sikri. There is somebody else who will have the combination of these three and will make something different. This is called cross-fertilization. Something, a new design is very beautiful in Mathura. A different kind of design is very beautiful in Fatehpur Sikri. And there is a different ruler who started a mixed culture, started a mixed construction. And what it was a combination of Mathura and Fatehpur Sikri both. So you can say this is called the cross-fertilization. A new kind of artistic forms were also introduced to the people. Right. Now here we find the Mughal rulers were particularly skilled in adapting regional architectural styles. Means nowadays we find Red Fort, Humayun Tomb, Taj Mahal and many more buildings. Even white marble, Taj Mahal of white marble, Taj Mahal of black marble. A number of buildings are available. But it's really surprising to know that Mughals were very much influenced by the architectural styles in the construction of their own building. Means they were following the constructional style of other regions and other empires, and they were trying to make a change in it, and they were trying to implement it as well. Right. So here there is again one example. So what the example we have is, the local rulers had developed a roof that was designed to resemble a thatched hut. So what does it mean by thatched hut? So you just see, this is the hut. This is the hut. Okay, a number of huts are there. What it was done, it was made in this form. It was made in this form. So if you talk about this kind of formation, where was it used? Basically, it was used in Fatehpur Sikri, and you people have already seen that. If you go for figure number 11 and 12, so let me take you to figure number 11 and 12. What was common there? You just see Fatehpur Sikri. What it was having this kind of structure, this structure which is having with the combination of this. So what exactly it is? It is, you can say, the cross fertilization. This way they were undoubtedly accepting the other rulers and other regions and their construction ideas. Now You just see here what else it was. Mughals liked the Bangla Dome. They liked the Bangla Dome so much that they used it in their architecture. It was so beautiful. So it happens with us as well, that if you go to visit somebody's house and you find, oh, it's a new design, it's like this is something different way how the person has designed his or her house. So you also, if you really like it, you can at least try to implement it in your place as well. The same was happening here. Bangla Dome was very much liked by Mughals, and what they started doing, they started following it as well. And what was the impact? The here we find the impact of other regions were also evident. So here we find, as we can find the evidence, we have the evidence that the Mughals accepted Bangla Dome the same way Vijayanagar accepted somebody else. So it was a kind of transfusion, you can say, cross, what to say? I forgot that word actually. So here, cross fertilization, right? So what we got to know, whether you transfusion you use or something else you use, in all the cases what we find, there is a different kind and there is a new design which appears, right? So here we find that all these kind, like buildings were made for the reasons they were made, and along with that we got to know that they were made and they were the mixture of all that. They were also influenced by each other's region and each other's empire, right? So we got to know about all these things here. Now, as you people know that we talked about the temples, right? We talked about the mosque. Temples, why? From chapter 2, you know very well, we had the Hindu rulers. From chapter 3, you got to know we had the Muslim rulers, means sultans we had. So we had the temples and mosque in India. But here we find, till that time we had no Christianity. Till the time we had not much Christianity. So there also came a fashion of constructing the churches as well. Right. So temples and mosques were undoubtedly constructed, but later on we find the churches were also constructed that time. But it was something different. Earlier it was something different, this time it was something different. Earlier it was just a small room type and the people were just going and praying. But now you find here, you know, Ghanta Ghar, very famous. Ghanta Ghar, aisa the bell house, which is also called as bell house. So all these things were the part of these churches only. You just see it only started initially in the areas of France. So we find here that it began in France to build churches that were taller and lighter than earlier buildings. So earlier buildings would be shorter, they would be somewhat heavy buildings, but now the trend was in France of making the churches which were taller, which were supposed to be, you just see the church how much tall it is. So undoubtedly very tall it is. This architectural style is specially known as Gothic. What is its style? Tall and lighter buildings, right? Tall and taller and lighter buildings. That's a kind of architectural style, and the kind of architectural style you find here, this is only known as Gothic. And what it was exactly? It was distinguished by high pointed arc. High pointed arc means the arc is here. The arc, you people know very well, this is the arc. Okay, we find it, but here it is told the high pointed arc. So it was very much heighted. You just see here, this is the arc which is having two pillars, means two vertical along with that one horizontal, right? Two vertical along that one horizontal. But what exactly it is very much heighted. As it is very much heighted, so we call it the pointed arc over here, right? And again, the use of stained glass were used, then often painted with scenes drawn from the Bible. So the way we had, as you people know, when we talked about which building we first talked about, Qutub Minar, right? So when we talked about Qutub Minar, we found that a number of geometrical shapes are there, but along with that there is one thing more. And what it is? It is written something in Urdu, like in written something in Farsi language. In temples also we find that there was something written in Hindi or Sanskrit. Here also in the churches also the same kind of trend was there, that the glasses, stained glasses were used, and it was having the paints, it was having something written on it It was having a number of words which had been taken, or a number of scenes which had been taken from the Bible, and flying buttresses. So all here we find which were visible from a distance were added to the church. So it's very important. A bell tower becomes very important for a church that time. So here we find the building, means the building, entire building of the church was very important. But along with that, two things were very important, and especially it was tall spires and bell towers. So these things were very important, and it was, you can really imagine how much important it was and how much tall it was, that it could be visible from a very distant place as well. So it was supposed to be very huge. Now coming to the last point here, and after that we can end up this chapter. Really, we can end up this chapter. So one of the best known examples of this architectural style is the church of Notre Dame in Paris. So here is the example of, actually this is the image of Notre Dame church only, and it's in Paris. So which was constructed through several decades in the 12th and 13th century. So here what we find, that the time when we are like our rulers, the rulers in our country, the sultans in our country, were busy in making a number of buildings here in India, like the temple, the mosque, the Karvasarai, and many more. It was the same time when the rulers, or somebody else, actually somebody else, not the rulers that time, they started making churches in different part of the world, and we have the example of France here. So I must say that for now we can end up this session, like the chapter is over from my side. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Any doubt, please let me know. I'll clear it here, or after that we'll meet in the next class. Fine. We are left with a number of question answers as well here. So if you go for the question answer, you'll get to know how is a trabeat, principle of architecture, different from the arcuate. So I hope you people remember very well. This is all the pillar. This is all related to this one. But what is in one where the entire pressure is on this one, right? Another one, the entire pressure is on the side wall. So we have to look into that, what exactly it is. What is a shikhara? Shikhara is the top point of a temple, right? Then Petra Dura, what is that? So we'll talk about all these questions better. We'll talk about all these questions in detail tomorrow in the next session. And we'll try to complete each and every keywords along with the question answer tomorrow in the new session. And for the time, I just have a request. If you have any doubt, ask me the question now. I'm waiting for your question. If you have any doubt, you can ask me the question. Fine. Are you able to like chat? Are you able to write something over there? Undoubtedly yes, because I am getting the option to write. Just let me know, else we can finish it up and we can join the another class as well. Fine. No reply, so means there is no doubt. So we'll meet the next time tomorrow exactly by the same time. Oh, thank you. Now I just got a bye, ma'am. Okay, bye. Take care. Thank you so much.